Hey, you're gonna have to check this out. It's called A to Z. I'm gonna take you through a lyrical journey here. Alliterative vase, an aspiring artist in the art of aesthetics, amplifying acoustic abilities, angry abolitionists involving absolutes of abstinence and an act of ecumen abiogenesis, assembling an articulate ages augmented upon by atomic authors for ages, bidding adieu to beliefs born backwards, backwash from the brain until it became only words on the pages, brandishing black lights near a blanched Bible, busting biogenetic biographers, burning bushes and kissing blondie stones, blank verse blasphemies, baseless and basics, blaspheming for the faceless brochures, brothels and faceless, bombing beaches for beads and bracelets, clicking clocks, causing coup d'etat, creating antichrist deities for Christ ever existed, clever abbreviation briefly dismissed, birthing creation, ascending death exist eternally, deconstructive critics face the contours of eternity, gripping the fabric of space, hanging on to every forbidden word of death's tale, incredulously gorging in a gluttonous feeding frenzy for going to find the gate of scales, flaccid nasa and a hill of pillification. I forgot to place it, just seemed to be the perfect location, hot, headed through heaven's gate, feeling like you jumped the fence to hell. Meanwhile, there's hedonistic sinners in the street, handing out homemade handbaskets to the homeless. God damn these heathens. Images invading, instances impeding, instigating ironies and monumental improportions, ignorance not succeeding, infiltrating insights into a central intelligence invisible to none, iridescent insights igniting intellectual inhabitants, contrary to the popular belief of a not so distant future populated solely by ignoramuses, where the world will be governed by its premier form of idiocracy. Quit imitating mediocrity, identical idiosyncrasies, and imitable injunctions, invoking interstellar instructions and justices. Judicious juggernauts enjoying a julep, sweet Jesus juice indulged upon by a jury of Judas's Jews with jaundice shit stars on the yellow bellies to remind themselves that they will always be special, one of a kind of like grandma's homemade jelly, except everything's helter-skelter, keystones off kilter, knick-knack, knights kneeling to kiss mitt, kleptomaniac kisses, pilfer latent knowledge from blatant liars, loose lips, layman's and loquacious in the law of liturgy, but lively, Lilliputians out in the open, listless behind closed doors, no prayers, not even a wishless, ill-laconic laws lacking the lexicon to mitigate the language of the leaking levities, that is to say, no alleviation for the lesions we're still left with, leaving little ones lacrimal, as if there isn't a better reason to cry. Why, shh, now don't cry, my little Nina Mitch. Well, all these adults grow up and learn that you can't walk around in others' affairs one day and claim laissez-faire the next. It just doesn't work that way. That's like leaving the law with no instructions in the hands of the literates, lacking a moral compass with as much moral compassion as I can muster. I'll try to keep M to a minimum. I'm sick of being compared to these handfuls of M&Ms as I make my way across the median. That means middle. For those who still think this is all just a riddle, metempsychosis, my mind, medium to all the psychosis, my body, a meteoroid traveling through space, my soul, the dream catcher, sinew sewn, it's your matron earth since before my birth, these elements melted spirit into wood, flesh and bone, beautiful music made to the beat of a broken metronome, not marching, but I'm pensive, my pen bleeds, whether monthly or daily, like the male form of Menses, deliverer of mankind, that's your mother, but you can just call her Messiah, she's the first one you call when you're coming home, but if we don't take care of it now, we may not have a home to return to. So then who would you turn to? Not me. But if it's not you, then it's not we. And if it's not we, then I'm not needing. If I was never needing, I would just not be. And not being is never an option. They say never, but let's look at our option. They say nations and ne'er-do-wells will never change, that you'll never be free, that you'll never understand me, but understand that I was never needed. And when you get the notion that all you ever needed was simply to be, to breathe, to be needed, to see, not to kneel nightly in service to a band or queen. So if you're interested in any of this nonsense, then order the white rose from the number at the end after the final consonant, so that we can put an end to all this nonsense. They teach us violence is not the answer, but the answer they give us is not peace. It puts me under the impression that the truth is under oppression. It doesn't take a sleuth to know when they're in a recession. It doesn't take a clinic to diagnose depression. Instead of being needed, we're just needy, not eating because we're hand-fed by the greedy, nooks and crannies pouring royal blood in session into the past over cups of crooks and nannies breaking in, fighting tooth and nail to offer their possessions up for collection plates, while the choir sings offertories, the priest feasts and offals, bypass inspection by outlaws in Oval Office, but saying it's not too late has become my healthy obsession as of late, so I will not hesitate to proliferate an onslaught of poetry. Go fish, my cards are open on the table, but I will not play possum. Dinner served, patch the organ grinder please, so I may appease the gods with an offering before I set sail another odd odyssey. This is my epic ode to past philosophers as well as those in the present. Future tensions released like a funeral pyre set to the sea. Past resentments of prying eyes putting up perceptive walls they can hear you. Know all about you, robbing Peter to pay Paul. But see, it's all perspective. See, Paul is a landlord, and Peter is a 5-year-old little boy whose college fund is nearly depleted. He lives in a poor neighborhood where the property values drop, and he goes to an underfunded public school with other uneducated prodigies. He belongs to a white, middle-class family. His mother's the prescription queen, popping Percocets in the morning before sending her children off for some more presumed learning. His older sister's well on her way to becoming a young princess herself, puking her way to perfection. But whoa, we'll back up. He belongs to a black, lower-class family. His mother's addicted to smack, sold his PlayStation for crack, ready to ride on the street corner. His older brother was recently paroled, certain that he's on the righteous path, but employers weigh the pros and cons of hiring a con. Even if he's an ex, even his application at the local dealership denied. I mean, come on, man. Those guys are professional con men, so now he's back to pushing dope out on the streets the only way he knows how to make that paper. See, he confessed to the priests in prison that this isn't his preferred way of life, but here he is running from the police again on a mission to provide his little brother with a better life. You see, Peter is a young poet with an old soul. He doesn't know it yet, but one day he'll be president, and it's not a question of black or white, and it's not a question of red, orange, or yellow. It's not a question of green or blue, not even a question of purple, people. Listen, it's a question of the soul. Every single one is gold. You just have to quest for that glimmer. Trial by fire, your faith gauged in quantum leaps and bounds. It's a quagmire how these physics can't be questioned like it's the law or something, but every rule is meant to be broken, right? Triton your pie with a never-ending quotient. That's nature's law, but you can't quote it. To know the law of nature, you must first know the nature of nature itself. But to know the nature of the question, you must know the question itself. And I'll give you a quick hint. Quiet, listen up now. I'm only saying this once. It's not how. Once you know the question, you know the nature that the question is the answer. Why quail in fear of a vengeful God when each generation has in them the nature to quell the quarrels we are concurrently facing? We each within us possess a certain quality, a perceptive quality of sorts that allows us to alter our own reality as we see best fit. These overlapping worlds of fantasy and reality are the quintessential essence of a universal cosmic consciousness. Not a single soul lives in the same reality as another. Each concurrently existing reality produces a constant wave of change affecting the realms of others around their own personal bubble. See, some realities revolve, others shake violently, rocking back and forth, stomping on the tails of others. Others are nurturers, attending to the needs of those around, a constant swirl of positive energy, blessing the realities of the neighbors. But all around I am seeing an awakening, no, a reawakening. A revolution is upon us, a wave of change is sweeping the nation. This is not a revolution of politics, this is not a revolution of government, this is not a revolution of history, this is a revolution of the mind. This is realization that the separation between us is in existence. While every single living soul's perception of the world is different, it is our similarities, no matter how minuscule, that keep us connected both physically and metaphysically, mentally and spiritually. We all have the innate ability to change the world around us, whether by force or by nature. So now that we found the source, I'll let you find the nature. Use all of your resources to create your own fate. Don't repine, it's not too late. A repetition of repetitive realities repleted with recce, reorienting a repetition of repetitive realities in which I reciprocate with rhetoric stating that reality is unreal. History keeps repeating itself, but history is not real. 250,000 refugees rove around the country with fluent references to the school of one ring. A sense of fellowship amongst all people is reforming. Along with it, a renaissance resurgence is surging, urging each of us to rise. Together we rise, together we rise, together and stand and remain that way. So when some poor souls fall, your duty is to lend them a helping hand, standing them back up on their feet if you can.